here again. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a baked French toast, dairy-free whipped cream, and a blueberry syrup with only 2 ingredients, neither of them being sugar or any kind of sweetener replacement. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and that you find this recipe informative and that it kind of helps you to satisfy any kind of sweet tooth craving you're having on keto. I am personally a fan of the 90-10% rule, where 90% of the time I'm eating really nutrient dense foods, and then 10% of the time I'm getting something in there that's fun and that's keeping me kind of engaged in eating my diet. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, and let's just get into the recipe. So to make the bread, you're gonna start off with 2 eggs. You wanna whisk them up so that way the eggs are completely broken up and the yolk is separated into the whites. And then you're gonna add in 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. And then 1.5 cups of almond flour, and then you kind of want to completely stir that in. So I did 1 cup first, and then I added the other 1/2 cup after I kind of had mixed that one together, just so that way I was able to get it all fully incorporated. Then I added 1 tablespoon of baking powder and did 1/4 of a cup of my sugar replacement. So it was a 1-to-1 sugar replacement. Sweet Love is a stevia-based sugar replacement. I did 1 tablespoon of cinnamon and then 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil. Mix that all together. The texture that you're looking for this bread is to be kind of like a creamy peanut butter. So you kind of want it to be kind of nice and spreadable. And it does kind of look like peanut butter. So to make cleanup easier, I take my bread pan and I line it with parchment paper. This just makes it a lot easier for me to clean up dishes afterwards. And I spray my parchment paper with some coconut oil cooking spray. Then you want to completely put the entire mixture into that container. My kind of pro tip for spreading this out is to spray your spatula with some of that cooking spray, because that makes it a lot easier to spread it out and kind of make sure it's evenly divided across the pan. Otherwise, this is kind of sticky and it can stick to your spatula if you're not careful. So you want to put this in the oven for about 18 minutes at 375 degrees, and when it's all done cooking, it looks like this. It doesn't really rise, but that's okay because we're going to cut it up. So to make the kind of batter for the French toast, we're going to take 3 eggs, crack those up, and then again break them apart so that way the yolks are all the way mixed into the whites before you add in the coconut milk. So I'm using a canned coconut milk. I'll be using 1/2 cup of this. I like it because there's a ton of fat in this, a little bit of protein, not really any, and only 1 carb per serving. So it's very low carb but very high fat. This bread right now doesn't contain any real fat. I mean, there's a little bit from the coconut oil, but we definitely need to make sure that we're getting more fats into this. So we will be using the coconut milk to do that. Now these cans are tricky. They will have the cream and the water separated, so you really want to make sure that you shake it good before you open the can up in order to make sure that it's completely mixed together. And then, like I said, I'm adding in a 1/2 cup, and I'm being lazy and I'm using my measuring cup so I don't have to dirty another dish. You just mix that in before you add any of the other ingredients. It does get really thick. I added in a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then I'm doing 20 grinds of this vanilla bean, whole vanilla bean, and that just adds a little bit more sweetness to the mixture. 1 teaspoon of the pumpkin spice, 1 teaspoon of the cinnamon, and then I also did 2 tablespoons of that Sweet Love in there as well. So there was that extra coconut milk, and so I just put it in a container that I could put a lid on, and I put it in my freezer while we kind of allow this bread to absorb that mixture. So I'm cutting the bread into 1-inch slices, and then I'm taking out a 8x6 Pyrex baking sheet and then just laying it all out, kind of just breaking them apart, piecing them together in kind of a jigsaw pattern in order to get as many of the slices in there. I ended up with 1 extra slice. Then I just covered it with the mixture, making sure that it was spread out across all of the bread, and then covered it and put it in the fridge for 1 hour.
1 hour later.
So then once it had kind of soaked up that mixture, you can see it's pretty much all gone. It's in that bread, and that bread is a lot more dense in there than it was prior to putting the mixture in there. So that bread has expanded and it has taken on that mixture. You're going to put that in the oven for 25 minutes at 375 degrees. So I'm going to start making the whipped topping. So I'm taking that coconut milk out of the freezer, putting it in a mixing bowl, adding in 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum, 2 tablespoons of the sweet love, and then some more grinds of that vanilla. And then it takes about 15 minutes for this to fully stiffen. And so if you've got a helper and you're using a hand mixer, have them do this while you go ahead and work on the blueberry topping. So you want 1 cup of blueberries, and then you're just going to put it in a small saucepan so that way they're all kind of firmly in there. There'll be a few that are on top of each other, but you kind of want to have them spread out in the saucepan. And then you want to completely cover them with water. For me, that was about 1/2 cup of water. So then I put it on my stove, medium-high heat, to allow it to start to boil. The water will start evaporating. You kind of want to start to pay attention as the blueberries start to lose their skin and kind of start popping open. Continuously stir. The kind of method for this in order to kind of help the heat evaporate is to let the bubbles form, brush them away, stir them up, and then let the bubbles form again. And then over time it will thicken into a real syrup. At about this time, the bread is ready to come out, or the French toast is ready to come out. And so that's what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. And this is what the syrup kind of looks like at the end. It's very thick. Again, no sweetener in this. It's just blueberries and water. You end up with homemade keto-friendly syrup. You could do this with strawberries or raspberries if you didn't want to use blueberries. And this is what the whipped cream topping looks like at the end. That is 1 serving of the French toast. In total, it makes about 4 servings. So I'm doing about 3.5 tablespoons of the whipped cream on top of a serving, and then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of the blueberry syrup, and it will kind of spread into that whipped cream, and it's just enough topping in order to kind of feel like you're really getting a treat and you're not missing out. This is really dense, lots of fat in this with that coconut whipped cream, and then there's the eggs in it, so you're getting protein, very filling meal, about 9.5 net carbs total. So this is kind of a meal, but it's a great way to treat yourself every once in a while on keto. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. And yeah, just keep in mind that you can have really great sweet things on keto. It's all about balance. I tend to go kind of crazy on my Sundays and make things like this in order to kind of satisfy that sweet tooth or that craving that I'm having. Definitely not an everyday thing. So yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoy this video and that this recipe kind of helps you to kind of keep perspective and that you can have fun things on keto. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye. And they like me.